All right, so guys, if you're just coming in, I'll probably say like 5 different times just so that new people coming in know what's going on. So today we're talking about body positivity, which is super important to me and super important to all these folks here. So all month long, we've had the donation at the top. So we're fundraising for ANAD, which is Anorexia Nervosa and Associated Disorders. And that is an organization that I have been with for probably like 10 years at this point. I fundraised for them throughout college. We partnered with them for my sorority way back when. So I figured, hey, let's pick it back up. This is an important topic, especially on the internet. A lot of us streamers, we deal with a lot of trolls, right? We deal with a lot of people that say a lot of things behind keyboards, and it can be damaging to us internally. Some of us, we keep it inside. We unfortunately take it to heart a lot more than we should. So I wanted to bring all these awesome people together to just talk about our own experiences. As far as body positivity goes, it's not just mainly, eating disorders. That's just one part of it, and that's part of what we're fundraising for. But the other part is we have anxiety, we have, panic attacks, trouble speaking with others, and things like that. So what we're going to start out with is we're going to go around the room. Everyone's going to talk about their personal experience and all that fun stuff. So it's probably not fun stories, but go with it. So I'm going to start out with my experience and why this is important to me. And this is the first time that I've ever spoke about this in a public setting. If you don't know me personally, then you have no idea about this. But so growing up, I didn't have like a diagnosed eating disorder or anything like that, but I would go like days without like eating. I had very bad anxiety, like going anywhere outside of my house. Like if I was inside my house, that was my safe spot. So I was able to eat, if that makes sense, like in there. But if I stepped outside, if I was in school, I didn't eat at lunch. I like went the whole day of school just like completely weak and just feeling like I'm gonna throw up all the time. So like I literally had like the worst anxiety. And I never spoke to anyone about it. And it took me like years to deal with it on my own, and I still deal with it. But like if I had to go on an airplane, like there's a bunch of stories. Like if anyone has been on an airplane with me, you know that like I'm pretty close to passing out the entire time. Because anxiety just riddles my mind and everything, and I feel like I lost out on a lot of experiences because it kind of took over me. Just the whole lack of eating, and like I was super skinny too, like skinny and pale and just like, not healthy mentally. So I've probably through middle school, even into college, I was dealing with it. So, that's like very, very high level. Like obviously I have years and years of this shit. But it's funny because now with COVID, I'm starting to experience it again where I'm like in my bubble, and now just to go to the grocery store, I'm getting panic attacks, like thinking about like, fuck, I have to go outside. And like, what if I get nauseous? And like, what if I just get an anxiety attack, like going to the grocery store? And it's starting to come again. And if I felt like I took years to train myself to get out of that. Like I forced myself to like get on long plane rides by myself. Like I took my bus right into Manhattan to work. Like I did so much, literally like my own training mentally to get tough, so that I can overcome all of this anxiety and stuff like that. And then of course adding in just like eating and feeling comfortable and all of that. So it took me years to get to where I am now, and I'm still struggling with it. So I think that that's why I want to talk about this, because I feel like a lot of people deal with similar things like that with anxiety, especially when it comes to like eating and stuff like that. So that's kind of my story. I know I didn't really explain it well because I've never explained it before. But I'm gonna pass the baton, whoever wants to talk about their experience with this, and we can just keep on going. I didn't want
All
to
right,
call anyone out.
I can go next. I can go next because my experience is actually pretty similar to yours.
Oh wow.
So I always grew up, well, I was the chubby kid growing up. Like I came out of my mother a fat baby. So that in of itself like basically destined me to have issues with surrounding eating, honestly. I was always self-conscious about my body and how I looked, and that basically led me into when I was in grade 6, getting into, like, all of the fads you see online, right? Like, lose 40 pounds in 2 days, like, stuff like that. I got into that kinda culture. It basically made me delve into lots and lots of unhealthy eating habits, and I undiagnosed, like Samurai said, like a binge eating disorder, really, where I would really restrict myself on certain foods. I would be really strict on like what I could eat, and that would last a week. And then on the weekend, I would just binge because my mind would go crazy. And I have, well, would have triggers that would make me like kind of get anxiety surrounding food wherever I went. Like if I had a bite of a pastry or something, my anxiety would flare up. I would be like, "Oh, I've ruined everything," and I would
Hmm.
go home and I would just binge. So that lasted like my entire elementary years, my middle school years, and my high school years. And even now, like I've sort of gotten over it. For like every now and then, I still get triggers, and maybe a month, like every month or two, it'll happen. It's gotten a lot better. So that's basically what I've dealt with. Long story short.
Yeah, and then knowing you personally, did you recently get into working out, or has that been like something that you've done for a while?
So I started my fitness journey in
Hmm.
grade 6. So I
Okay.
was like 12 or something. I basically all I knew that I could do was run. So I would just go on the road and I would run for hours. And then basically once I got into high school, I started trying new things. So I would do home workouts and I started going to the gym. And I mean, I've only been out of high school for a year now, so like I've been going to the gym ever since then.
Yeah. Um, Hold on before we jump in, guys. What the fuck? Grayson and Phil, guys, $200 each. Are you kidding me? Holy shit, guys! Thank you. Like
Wow.
like you guys know, I don't promote this at all. Like I just had it up there all month long, and if anyone wanted to, guys, that means so much. And you're here and you're supporting us and letting us talk about these things, and that money's gonna go such a long way and help people. So like, what the money goes to is they. I'm about to cry. I can't. Oh, we just started.
Guys, get ready to clip it.
Oh god, but what this does is it provides mental counselors for these people that reach out to this organization. So if either it's on site or on the phone, like they provide support for people that they can't afford, to pay for a counselor, and that's what this organization does. So they're able to be sustained by amazing people like you who are just fucking crazy. But guys, thank you. I can't. Okay, I'm gonna move on before I cry. But Bree, thank you so much. And I did a
Of
terrible
course.
job at introducing everybody. So top left, we've got Alex Norimaki. In the middle, we've got Mr. Angelus X. And we have to the right of him, my new friend is Carol of the Bell, right? Awesome. And then we've got Bree, aka Not What You Expected. And then is it Rosalind or Rosalind?
Rosalind, you got it.
Rosalind Gaming. You've got me. You've got Tamika. Tamika Online. Just Tamika O on Twitch.
Tamika, just
Tamika
call me
O.
Tammy or Tam.
Tam Tam. Next to her, you've got Weak Reception. The best reception. He looks frozen. But he's not. And then to the right of him, we've got What Gaming. So that's who we've got, and I apologize for not introducing. All right, so whoever wants to jump in next and share their story.
I'll go. Mine's a little interesting. I'll share a little bit about the food side first and then jump into everything else. So, when I was growing up, I had almost the opposite experience of you two ladies who have already spoken. Uh, my parents were constantly on me to finish any food that we had in the house. It was finish your plate. You are not going to be wasteful. Nothing goes in the trash. We were, middle class, closer to the poor side. And my parents are very thin, very
Mm-hmm.
athletic, very active people, very, very active people. You look at my brother and you look at me, and we are not. Our metabolisms are so much different. And we were encouraged as children to clean our plate, do not be wasteful, kind of thing, rather than portion control and focusing on how much of everything that we were supposed to eat. We were told you need to eat whatever you're given, regardless. And when I met my husband, and he's from Finland, and he would try and put these weird things on a plate in front of me and be like, you should try this. And in my head, I had this unspoken rule that whenever you're given something, you must try it and you must finish it.
Mm-hmm.
You must. That is the rule. And as I went through college and I got married, I started to realize it's okay to not finish your plate. When you're hungry, it's okay to eat. And it's okay to stop when you feel full. And that's something that I've been going on a journey with, is determining what does full feel like,
Mm-hmm.
versus what does I'm going to be sick, I'm so full feel like. So kind of like the binging opportunity, where it's, do I have a whole plate of cheese fries, or can I have just a little bit and still function afterwards?
Right.
But as I moved into college, my undergrad, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And I was the kid who was like, yeah, straight A's. Let's do all this stuff, extracurricular. Let's do all this. And was working through college, did pretty well, lived on campus, and then got hit really, really hard with these two diagnoses in my junior year. Ended up moving back home, started taking care of myself more, dropped 50 plus pounds through intermittent fasting and carb cycling, which was still unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Still one of those fads that we talked about, that, I just got on a train and I was so busy that I didn't take care of myself, and I thought I was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And I got married, and we moved cities for me to become a dentist. And last year, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Now, if you're not familiar with fibromyalgia, it's a chronic disorder or disease that affects all the muscles of the body. And what it does is it essentially locks all your muscles in a Charlie horse. So when you do any sort of activity, your muscles respond times 100. So I go up the stairs and my legs lock. They get stuck. So I went from kayaking and being this person who was into everything and going on hikes and being in dental school, to a person who couldn't even walk upstairs. And it was a major change. I put on another 50 pounds. I was very, very depressed. And my world changed. I had to give up being a dentist. Everyone told me, you can't do this, you can't hold a drill, you can't hold a pencil, you can't work, you need to be self-employed, you need to stay at home, I can no longer drive, things like that. And suddenly your world changes, and it becomes so apparent that these little things, like taking care of yourself, become major. So now I'm starting to look at how can I treat myself better?
Mm-hmm.
How can I move forward in treating myself like a temple, like I actually am,
Yeah.
and saying, okay, how can I get out and move? How can I eat well today? Am I playing with Maggie, my little dog, today? Like what kind of activity am I doing? And I think having FMS and all of the associated stuff with that has really helped change my perspective and given me some good tips to share with you guys too.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that with us. Just out of curiosity, did you start going on Twitch as like an escape? Okay, I
Yeah.
figured.
So I was diagnosed in, let's see, that was July of last year, and had just taken my boards. I was
Mhm.
ready to treat patients. I had my first 3 patients in the chair, ready to go.
Yeah.
I'd already seen them for their first appointments, and went on a camping trip and was out paddleboarding and went into a FMS flare. So all the muscles of my body locked. I was unable to breathe normally. I was unable to walk. I had to be carried to a car and drove home. And I was in bed for 3 days. Could not eat, could not sleep, anything like that. We did
Mhm.
blood work after blood work after blood work.
Yeah.
And everything with FMS comes back as normal. There's nothing wrong with you. So my husband said, "Well, why don't you give YouTube a chance?
Yeah.
What do you enjoy?" And I'm like, "Well, I miss playing games on the floor of my living room with my N64." And he said, "Then you play N64." And I said, "Okay."
I love
So
that. He's
I was
supportive.
like, "Here I am." So I went from posting 3 videos a day to posting every day, and I realized that streaming is a little hard on my body. So that's
Mhm.
something that I do very rarely now. But um, it's nice to have the opportunity to be like, oh, I can still be social. I can still see people. I can still talk to people,
Yeah.
and share what's going on. So I think that's awesome.
I love that. And you're so strong for just talking about this and letting us know, like, hey, this is what I'm going through. But it's also really important to point out that having someone, at least one person, by your side that's able to help you get through that, and that's your husband. And
Big time.
I love to hear that he was like, what is it that you want to do? Do it.
Mhm.
And here you are, and now here we are all meeting you and talking with you, and I'm so happy that you're sharing this. So thank you for coming on.
Pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Who's next?
I can go.
I'm just gonna
um,
call on y'all.
yeah. I actually had kind of a similar upbringing to you. Can you repeat your name? Rosalind?
Rose. Rose. Yep.
Rosalind.
You got it.
Okay, great. When I was growing up, it was also like you have to be grateful for everything that's given to you. Finish everything. Like there are people who wish that they had what you had, and a little bit differently as I grew up. With Colombian parents. They were immigrants. Most of my family, actually, just me and one of my oldest sisters, were born here. But I'm white, so like I can only speak on my experiences. But I know it was worse for a lot of my family that lives in America, and they're like people of color, and it's like hard because in Colombia, especially, they there's a lot of like judgment. Like I have cousins who for their 16th birthday, they've been gifted like plastic surgery. They're like, "Oh, you're 15, you're 16, like do you want liposuction? Do you want to get a breast enhancement?" Like stuff like that. So I grew up around stuff like that which made me very self-conscious. And again, I was actually always always the big kid when I was younger. And it was hard being around like other friends and stuff. I'm like, they're not gonna be my friend for long because I'm fat. They're not gonna be my friend for long because of this. And it I would say it got worse around middle school. I started like, self harming, and then um I remember my parents they were like, "Oh, you need to be more active." So they tried making me do soccer for a couple years, which was like rough because since I had never played sports before and I was already a big kid, it was so hard for me to like keep up and like be good at the sport. And it was embarrassing, frankly, just because everyone else was like, what are we gonna do with her? Where are we gonna put her? What position is she gonna be in? Will she be good at? And then I joined a marching band in high school, which actually helped a lot. The arts is like a really great community. It can be a really great community and lots of supportive people. So that helped a lot. But then I got into like the toxic side of some social media, like especially on like Tumblr.
Mm.
where you'd see all these fads and diets like water fasting and stuff. I remember I got into that
Oh, I
for a
remember that.
while. Yeah, I got into water fasting. I lost 30 pounds in 1 month. And then after that, started eating a little bit. I would like limit myself to about like 800 calories a day.
Ouch.
And then I remember going into that was around my junior year. And then I remember going into my senior year, we were getting fitted for like new marching band uniforms. And one of the band moms, she was fitting me. And she was like, "Oh, I guess you stopped eating all those Twinkies, huh?" And I'm
Oh,
like, imagine, like, and I didn't mind. I was like, you know what? This isn't the worst thing I've heard. It sucks, but it's not the worst thing I've heard. But I felt bad for her daughter because she has kids too. And I'm like, if you're willing to speak to me like that, how are you speaking to your own children? Like,
yeah.
so I don't know. That was hard to hear. Then I went to college, and college, in high school I was always like sheltered. We weren't really, again, my parents, there's a cultural barrier. They have
Mm-hmm.
different customs and stuff, so they're like, you really shouldn't be out of the house after a certain time, do certain things. So going to college was like this whole new world. I was like, I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want. I can go out whenever I want. I can order food without judgment, this and that. And I gained so much weight, so much weight. And then like the summer after sophomore year, I tried doing the keto diet. I lost like 40, 50 pounds and then gained it right back. Um, Honestly, it wasn't until like this past fall where I started feeling comfortable with my body.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like one of the questions that you said we could talk about is like
Yeah.
something that helped me because I I wouldn't say I had like an eating disorder, but it's disordered eating.
Yeah.
I actually freshman year of college, in October, I was actually sent to the psychiatric hospital because I was gonna commit suicide, and then
Mm-hmm.
I got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and depression. Um, and we talked about my eating, and it is disordered eating, but something that helps me work work on it. And some days are better than others,
Of course. Yeah.
as like all of you know, but honestly, the human mind is like this insane thing. You can lie to it. You can lie to it as much as you want. So as much as I think I'm like, you're ugly, you're overweight, you're this and that, I will look in the mirror and I'll be like, and I'll just lie to myself every day. And then eventually I just started believing it. I'm like, wow, I feel great. I feel awesome. My friends love me. I look great in this today. I look great in these sweatpants. I look great in this bra. Like, I just lie to myself all the time, and now it's just like it's the truth for me. And now it's like become like an honest thing. That's my story, but also something that I think I don't know about everyone else, but something that I've had to deal with a lot is not just at home and in school and like in social aspects, but in a medical aspect. I've struggled a lot going to the doctors because like whenever I
Yes.
go see whenever I go see my doctor, I'm like, "Hey, this hurts." He's like, "Have you tried losing weight?" I'm like, "Hey, my back hurts." He's like, "Have you tried losing weight?" I'm like, "Hey, I have
Mm.
migraines. Might be because you're overweight." So I like, luckily I changed doctors and now I have one that's very understanding. But like my other
Yeah.
doctor would just be like, "Do you want some appetite suppressants?" And I'm like, "No, I want you to find the source of the problem." Like, people are deserving of medical attention regardless of their weight, regardless of what they choose to eat, regardless of whatever. It's so yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I know that's probably something a lot of other people can relate to.
Yeah, and it annoys me too because for the most part, what people do is they look at you and they judge you straight off the bat, and even so, they're like, "Why are you eating that salad?" You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, why the fuck's it matter to you? Um, and
Yeah.
I've had an internal struggle because so I also have like a Latin background, and you know
Mm.
how it is. It's like they just say whatever the fuck they want, right? So
Yeah, no,
like
they
I was skinny my whole life because I told you guys, and I started to get into sports, and then I gained weight, and then it's like my own grandmother is just like, you got fat, and then every time I would see her, it's just like, you gained more weight. Like, why? Like, she would literally be like, you literally, like, you're in your face, you gain weight, this and that. And it's just like, but that's the first thing that would come out of her mouth. And for me, it's just like, but you're my family. And like, and you're saying that. And so it's just like, and people, like we were talking about on the internet, there's so much worse. They don't even know you. They don't know anything that you've gone through. So I think that's what you just spoke about. Like, you're super strong, and like you're here, you're so confident, and it's just like no one would know that that's what you went through. So like, part of why I'm doing this is because I want people to know, fucking think before you speak, because you literally have no idea. Like, I could be on the brink of breaking down, and your one little stupid ass comment can completely derail everything I've been working on for months.
Exactly.
So I just thank you for also coming on and sharing your story. And you're new to this crew here too. So it was a lot of courage for you to do that, and I really, really appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
And
Thank you so much.
yeah, no, I hope chat some more too outside of this. And I'm just gonna call on weak reception. If you can. I just bother him all the time. You're muted.
No, you're muted.
No, hear you.
We can't hear you. Like, you're not muted, but there's nothing coming out.
I love weak.
Now you're actually muted.
Oh, poor guy.
Oh, let me see. Yeah, he's not. You're not muted.
Oh.
You're not
I'm
muted, but
stream.
nothing's coming out.
Try
Just,
to unplug and plug back in what you did. Oh no, I feel bad. Yeah, we'll come back. We can come back to you. Alex.
Oh.
I'm staring at your pretty face.
Just like what I get.
Oh.
See if I make eye contact again. Mine's somehow similar and incredibly different from you guys. I tend not to act like it, but I actually have very aggressive anxiety, social anxiety, anxiety about myself. Anytime I leave my house, I am so incredibly self-aware of every single part of my body at all times. It kind of ruins social life when all of your friends want to go out to a setting with more than 4 people and you're like, I can't, because I don't know if those people are sitting there thinking, okay, well, she looks ridiculous. Okay, why is she wearing that? Okay, why is she standing like that? I nitpick everything about myself. And I know it came from being bullied for 10 years. All of elementary school, half of middle school, sporadic comments throughout high school, then back to bullying in college. Those things follow you. And it started with small stuff. I'm incredibly loud, but once they really realized, okay, let's not make fun of her for being loud, let's make fun of her for being Black, and let's make fun of her for being this shape. And I'm shaped the way I am. There's nothing I can do to change the way that I am shaped. There's nothing I can do to change the fact that as a Black woman, my bone density makes me weigh more, even though I look the same as anybody else. And so people would just say things like, wow, you have a lot of your fat sticking out of your pants today. Or, I don't know why your shirt isn't lager. It should be. Why are you showing all of that? Why is this out? Why are you just like, it was a whole bunch of why. And when people keep asking you why, you start asking yourself why. And to this day, I still have terrible days where I'm like, why are you wearing this? Why did you even buy this? This is not meant for you. All of those things. And so it got really, really, really bad. And it actually got so I didn't notice how bad it was. It had gone all the way through high school. It got so bad in high school, I couldn't wear just one shirt. I would wear a regular length shirt. You know, it's not cropped, so nobody would see any of your stomach.
Yeah.
But I'd wear like one of those tank tops, like the spaghetti strap ones. I would always wear one under that shirt and tuck it into my pants. So then no part of my stomach, of my back, none of it
Me
would
too.
ever show. Yeah, I didn't stop that till sophomore year of college, and I started 6th grade. Um, and the only reason I stopped sophomore year of college is because I got tired of having you grow, you get bigger, you're older, you're gonna
Yeah.
grow some more. I got tired of seeing I am a new size. It wasn't even like you've gained a ton of weight. It's okay, you've gone from being a teenager to 20, you're gonna go up one more size. And I got tired of I went from a small to a medium and I thought my life was over.
Mm-hmm.
The body dysmorphia got so bad that all I would wear to class every day was either a hoodie, a long sleeve shirt. It was always leggings that were one size bigger because I thought that's the size I needed. Um, I just was not comfortable in my skin. And I think people saw that I was already super vulnerable and took advantage of that. And so those comments continued and didn't really stop until I graduated college because I was away from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But then what they don't tell you after you graduate college is that post-college depression is also a thing.
Oh, yeah.
They
Oh,
should
yeah.
really warn you about these things.
Yes.
My depression, I only graduated a year and a half ago. I graduated in May. By October, I wasn't leaving my room. I didn't leave my room. I slept most of the day. I'd skip meals, cry myself to sleep, wake up in tears, nightmares every day. And I didn't realize anything was wrong. I was like, I'm just tired all the time. And so I have a therapist now, and she says unchecked stress becomes anxiety, and unchecked anxiety becomes depression.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what happened. It went from one to the next to the next. And I just one day got tired of it. I was tired of hating myself because it was not my fault. It was nothing I could do. I had to go to a doctor because I had bronchitis, and the doctor was like, I didn't ask. First off, I didn't ask. But the first thing out of his mouth when he said to me, he's like, oh, your BMI is a 29. That's overweight. You should really think about losing weight.
Ugh.
Of course.
First off, BMIs don't apply to Black women. They're not made for us. Like I said, I have more bone density. I'm going to weigh more than people my height normally do. I don't think there's such thing as a normal size. I never will.
Mm-hmm.
He said that with such a straight face that I left A, with bronchitis, and B, crying in my car. And I was just like, so this is it? I'm just destined to be ugly for the rest of my life and hated for it, even though I've done nothing to deserve these things. And I finally decided I'm not going through this by myself. I couldn't talk to my parents about it because I didn't want them to worry about me. I couldn't talk to my friends because I didn't want them to worry about me. And I finally got a therapist because COVID made me even more in the house.
Yep.
And the first thing she told me was the most validating thing. It was, you have anxiety, you have depression, you have post-traumatic stress disorder from everything you've gone through. You don't have to be in, I always thought, I was like, okay, well, PTSD is reserved for people who've gone through trauma, like abuse, a car accident, military incidents, those kinds of things. She's like, that's not how that works. And it's only been in the past maybe 6 months that I've even been okay with admitting that to myself. And so that's really kind of it. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm better now, but it's taken 20
I wish I could just reach through the screen and go,
Big hugs!
Because like I'm sitting here like, oh, because it's like legit the same thing I'm going through, and it's just you think when you're going through this stuff that it's
by
impossible.
yourself.
Yeah, it's impossible that anyone else on the planet could possibly understand. And just hearing that someone else has to go through that too, like it hurts me.
It makes me feel good I'm not the only one. But
it's like, oh, I'm not the only one. Oh God, thank God, I'm not the only one. But like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. Like,
why did you bring a towel to this, Alex?
I was prepared.
But that was a really good point that you brought up, though, Alex, that PTSD, it doesn't have to be this big ordeal. Like, everybody has some kind of PTSD from the smallest thing to the biggest thing. It doesn't matter. But it affects us and we don't even realize it. Like I deal with it all the time. I used to have really bad depression where I would just cry for no reason. It's just like I'm so happy that we all are here and just chatting about this because this is not something that a lot of people will be like, hey, can we get on Discord and talk about our feelings? You know, like this doesn't happen, and it should happen more. Because then we just find people that we relate to, and then we realize that we're not so crazy. Like this is normal. Like we need to normalize things like this. But you're the cutest, and I don't want to look at you anymore because you're gonna make me cry.
Oh my god.
But I definitely want to get into, once we're all done like talking about our experiences, is like coping mechanisms, because it seems like a whole bunch of us have our own unique things that I think we can share with each other and for everybody listening in. So now I'm gonna switch over to Mr. Ange. It's Angelus X.
Okay. So, I'm on a different side of things to an extent. To put background on it, I have ADHD, but I grew up in a time period where ADHD wasn't a thing, where capital punishment was a thing, and where if you had ADHD, you were classified as a bad kid and you got spanked just for being you. I'm going to go with an abridged version because I've had my story published before, but a lot of this, and so I'm not going to drag it out because we'll be here for a couple of hours. I am a survivor of physical, mental, and sexual abuse and molestation from when I was a kid to when I was a teenager to when I was an adult in various different forms by various different people. So that has led to a very long run of depression. With ADHD, I don't eat because I forget to eat. So I have to set schedules to make sure that I do eat, or I won't eat until I get hungry 3 days later. So, which is ironic because my weight has always gone up and down between the depression and the ADHD. It's a constant battle between the two. Plus, I was addicted to painkillers 20 years ago. When I was 15, I was deep in opium. Tried cocaine when I was 12. Magic mushrooms when I was 22. A lot of very drunken, misremembered nights, some starting from when I was about 10 to 30. So it's a whole mess of things that all basically blew up a couple of years ago when I just kind of decided that I had had enough and took control of everything because I was unemployed or unemployable for a good 10 years. So that brings me to where I am now, where I'm relearning how to socialize because I didn't trust anybody. My social group outside of Twitch is about 3 people because most of the people around me in this small town I have absolutely no use for because in my age group, most of them are still in high school, even though we've been out of high school for 20 some years. And there's no connection there. So, yeah. That's basically the short version because I could be here for hours.
Yeah, and I've read your published story. I literally trying so hard not to cry when you're talking because I know you and I know that you're an amazing person. So I'm not gonna do this. Not doing this right now. Puppy is so cute. But yes, thank you, Ange, because it's important. Like we've been saying all night long, just being open and honest. Like someone in chat probably went through the same thing or something similar. Yeah. And then they can reach out to you later and say, "Hey, can we talk a little bit more about this? Because
absolutely,
you know, this is I'm struggling with this right now." I can't even talk to you, Itch. I'm gonna cry.
If I could add
Yeah.
one thing, I really appreciate all of the guys here tonight because there's
Yes.
such a stigma surrounding like males opening up about mental health, especially stuff surrounding eating
Absolutely.
disorders.
Yes,
and
thank you. Seriously.
stuff
So
like
much.
that. Seriously, major props to you guys.
Definitely. And it's funny because I said that to Week, and I think I said it to Ange too in message, like, because I know them. And when you reached out, I was like, yes, please, we've got to get you on here too to talk. But it is a thing. And you, right when you hear eating disorder, you just think of women. And like, and this is a completely different subject, but the same thing with like breast cancer, same thing. They're like women, but men are affected by this too. So that was such a good point that you brought up because that was literally the first thing that I thought. I was like, I don't want this to be an all women cast because that's kind of contradictory to what everything that's going on. So I'm gonna, on that note, head on over to our homie Wet Gaming.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So
So I struggle with my weight. I am overweight. I have been overweight for a large portion of my life. I it seems like 6th grade seems to be a number that everyone's been saying here. Around 6th grade, it kind of started. I was bullied a lot and picked on a lot, and I guess that kind of factored into it, and it didn't really help. But like you said, I think it's a big important thing for males to talk about it because it's not something that they really do talk about, and that's like I know a lot of guys who have a lot of problems that they think it's like unmasculine to talk about and get help and find someone to talk to about it, even if it's not professional. It's still important to talk to someone about it, and so it's been something I've been working on a lot lately, trying to get myself healthy and back together. And I've started going to doctors because I never wanted to go to doctors about my weight because I never wanted to talk to doctors about it. And hang on one second.
Yeah, that what he was talking about there. I have been contemplating like, do I see a therapist? Should I? It's like I still have never gone, and I still like so many people have told me you need to just go because I've been dealing with so many things internally for years, that I don't think it's healthy that I internalize a lot of it. But I like that he mentioned that. But yeah, I don't want to not stealing the spotlight. Just really
No,
triggered.
sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
Come on, MP. Come on.
Mhm.
Okay. Just let her in whenever she's ready. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, so I think so I've recently started like going to doctors and seeking help with everything and all. And found out that I have quite a few issues, but a big one being a sleep disorder. And that's greatly impacted my ability to lose weight and all that. And so now I have like a CPAP machine and everything I sleep with, and I really it's a I didn't really care. I don't know. I was picked on a lot for it, and it kind of made me think that that's just how I am, and that's how I'm supposed to. Like, I'm never gonna get better. I tried losing weight; it didn't really work for me, and likely the sleeping issue was part of that. But now I've been doing a lot better. I had a son a year ago now, and that was kind of the turning point where I wanted to get better and make sure I live long for him and not have any more issues. So I've begun the process of getting better, and I've been learning ways to cope with my problems and get over anxiety and depression and feeling bad about myself, and learning ways to instead turn that into positivity and make myself better from it.
I love that. And it always happens too where it's sometimes there's just something that triggers it where you're like, all right, this is the thing that's going to make me change, or this is the thing that's motivating me. And for you, it's your son. For some people, it's, a new relationship, or if it's like a job that they just got and they're like, you know what, I'm motivated. I want to do this. I want to go, buy a house one day. Like, I don't want to be, caught up in this misery. And like, for me too, it's like, I don't want to be in this depressed state my whole life. Like, I need to not put it behind me, but not forget about it and kind of grow from it and know like this is why I am the way that I am type of thing. So that's what's happening with you, which is it's awesome. You had your son, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna try to do something about it. But it's like we don't forget, the things
No,
that
not
we
at all.
we came from and what we've done, and you're gonna accomplish so many things and just coming out and speaking. Super huge, and I thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. And I don't know who wants to go first, Tam Tam or Week. I don't know if Week's mic is working. Tam Tam, you go first.
Bless you. So I've shared like a variety of experiences with you guys, but I'll start like youngish really. So when I was a kid, I was actually really thin. To the point I was the thinnest in my family and my sister was bigger than me. And all of a sudden that started to change. Like I was eating okay. Um, I was sporty. I have always been sporty. Like I used to be a figure skater. I used to do netball rounders, which is like your other one. I've done so many different sports throughout my life, and even today, I'm always doing hockey, like field hockey.
Mhm.
Um, but people look at me and they instantly go, "You're unfit. You're overweight. Why are you just being lazy on the sofa?" And I'm like, I was never picked last in sports because no one wanted to go against me. Like, and I'm like, I can beat people up hills and they're out of breath and they're like size 8. I'm nowhere near that size. And people will just judge me. And it got to the point where my anxiety started to grow because I couldn't go shopping. Because if I went shopping in a physical shop to try on clothes, buy clothes, I'd look at who was on the counter and I would physically count where I would have to stand in the line to not get someone I thought would judge me. I would try get the person that looked more like I would look, like that sweet little old lady that's less likely to judge you and just want to give you a hug. And it got really bad to the point you guys say the trolls online are bad. I've had it throughout my life that people that know me and people that don't know me will just say shit. And I've had someone in a restaurant who was a waiter there turn around to me at a charity event I was organizing for kids with cancer, say, "You know what? You'd be really beautiful if you lost a bit of weight." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what is this?" I had one of my exes tell me, "You know what? Your sister's so much hotter than you."
Mm.
My sister unfortunately suffers with body dysmorphia, and she used to be an alternative model. She's now a power lifter, so she is really well shaped. She's so healthy. She has such amazing diet control, it's unreal. And she tells me how fat she is. She puts pictures up and says she hates how she looks. And I sit there going, "You can fit two of her in my clothes." And it hurts me to have to hear my own family say that. But then in my first year of university, I went out on a night out with all my friends, and I was going back to get my inhaler because I was struggling with my asthma. I walked down the steps, and someone who had never met me went, "Oh, hey there, beautiful. Wait, just fat." And I literally ran back to my flat and I couldn't leave. I told my parents, and my mum was like, "Did you reply, 'Let me tell you where the hospital is'?" I was like, "No." And it still to this day sort of haunts me. And throughout my life, people just look at me and they will make comments. And it's like no one knows me. No one knows that I could like beat their ass in sports any day of the week.
Yeah.
They just judge. And it got to the point where my anxiety got so bad, I have to have someone go with me to something. Um, I was 22 and I still needed my dad to come to a new hockey tryout with me because I was scared what anyone was going to say about me, what they would look.
Mm-hmm.
Even just someone standing there, they'll look at me and it looks like they're looking you up and down. I don't know if anyone feels like this. Like they can't go with the eye contact. And then you start there going, "Is my shirt tight? Am I wearing something wrong? What's going on? Why won't they just look at me?" And that grew so bad, and it got to the point someone took quite bad advantage of me, and I then started suffering with depression, and I had to see a counselor because something really bad happened. And because of that counseling, um, literally brought me out of a really dark place because I was getting to the point of suicidal thoughts, and it was quite horrible. Like, and I hope no one has to go through it. It's why I'm always open with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's so many techniques that I've learned, and it's ever since then that I started to look at myself and go, I'm not letting anyone else keep putting me down because I've done it for years because they make me feel like I should,
Mm-hmm.
and no one should feel that way. So that's basically like the shit I've been through.
Yeah, and I mean, just hearing you talk about that too, and it just it annoys me because I know you, not that long, but enough that I know that you're such a good person. Um, it just, especially if there's people out there too who sometimes you do it as a joke, right? You say things like that, like, "Oh, a fat joke," right? It's not a joke. Talking about people's weight or their color or anything like that, their gender. We need to stop joking about it. Because you don't know what someone's going through. Words literally hurt more than actions. Like, I can get punched in the face and I'll be fine. But if the one time you told me, hey, like, you looked pretty fat in that blue dress and I thought I was looking fucking fine, I'm gonna have that in my head for probably a few months just thinking about it. And I'm probably gonna go on this stupid diet because of what you said. So just think about that. Think about, especially if you have kids, think about how you comment on the television. Think about how you make comments on the road, on when you're walking in stores. Like, any little thing, people's minds are like a sponge. And it translates to now how we're older and we're dealing with this, and like what people have said to you, Tam, for no reason. They don't know you. It's hard to have the mindset that, you know what, I'm not gonna let that get to me. I only just recently had that mindset. It took me years of practice to not let anyone get to me anymore. Um, so thank you, Tam, for sharing that. Fucking love you, and you're beautiful. Everybody here is beautiful. Just makes me so mad. Um, Mr. Week, are you?
Hello.
We hear him. I was gonna say don't leave because your smiling face is enough for me.
All right, guys, this has been real.
It's been a
I
journey.
don't know how much mic time we got here before it cuts out, so we'll just no. First of all, Tam, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. I'm sorry if you felt like I was putting you on the spot. I really was nervous about this. As much as weak reception is a joke, somehow everything happens where it just comes to life. So, then first and foremost, I apologize for holding anybody up.
No.
So for me personally, and I feel like it's kind of just to wrap it all up. It's kind of a summary of everything we talked about. I grew up more on the obese side. Like I probably weigh now at 26. I probably weigh now what I weighed when I was like 12, 13.
Mm-hmm.
It was just one of those things where I didn't think about it like that. I tried to cope with right. Body positivity is more than looking at yourself. It's how you see yourself. It's how you think about yourself. So it doesn't always necessarily matter how you look. It's how you think you look, because your brain does all the work behind it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I try to like compensate with that with trying to be outgoing and be a personable person, try to have lots of friends and all that. But at the end of the day, it didn't make a huge difference in a sense because other people's comments still get into your head and change your own perception of yourself, which is fucking wrong. Like nobody should do that to somebody else, but it's an unfortunate part of society, right? That you run into like comments like Tam was talking about. Like that's just for what, dude? But it's the world we live in. So
Mm-hmm.
growing up, you know, I ran into a couple of things, right? Not to get too personal, but like um
Yeah.
I was a little more obese, and then when I was like 7, I think. around the time like when 9/11 happened, and being like a Middle Eastern kid in public school was like just added fuel for everybody to kind of like tag on to me, you know. So I felt like super outcasted for for a very long time, and I didn't really know where I fit in anymore, which kind of like same changed my perspective of myself. People be like, oh, whose side are you on? I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, bro, I was born in Connecticut, dude. Like, you guys don't understand. Like, I was born in Connecticut. I have no idea what you're talking about. Um, but I always struggled with how I perceived myself. Uh, and I'll fast forward through the awkward years of like it got to a point where I did stop eating and stuff, and in high school I got super thin, but it didn't look like a healthy thin for me. Like looking back at those pictures, I'm like, bro, like why? Like you can see your cheekbones and shit. Like you gotta like put a healthy face on.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have it. I tried to like fit in with the preppy kids, the sporty kids. I was a skater for a little while. I just didn't know where I belonged, and I think part of that is not knowing who I was as myself. Once you figure out who you are, then you can realize, hey, I might not need all these groups or cliques. Like I'm kind of like a fluid person.
Yeah.
I hang out with anybody. You know what I mean? Um, so once you skip through that, up until the last couple of years, even I was still kind of conscious about it. I was losing weight because of my job. I work outside. I do a lot of like physical labor and stuff. Um, but it still wasn't enough for me. I started gaining some weight back on, and I did keto, right? I know. You guys were talking about that earlier, and keto's like I don't know, dude. That killed me. Like I lost 20 pounds in like 2 or 3 weeks. Like, and it's all water weight, right? It's right. And I got the keto flu like 2 months in. I got the keto flu, and my fiance Ingrid, I was like, hey, you need to go get me like some Big Macs, some McChickens, like whatever you can get for me. I need it today. And I felt better, and that's when I realized like I know I can be extreme on the spectrum. I'll either eat whatever I want and be like, well, nobody's gonna fucking tell me what to do, or I'll go on a diet that starves myself, and I'll take in 40 calories a day just to prove a point. And finding that balance is really the important thing on how you perceive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I have like a lot of unboxing to do. I'm so proud of you guys who have gone to like to a therapy or seeing a counselor or something. We talk about it all the time, Ingrid and I, about going to see people because we have a lot of stuff like not even between us, but like her and her childhood and me and my childhood that we feel like still affects us as like full grown adults today.
Yeah.
So like mad props to all you guys who have gone because that's the first step towards finding a solution. And
Oh yeah.
um, it just builds into this whole thing. Like, I don't know what I have. I don't know what to call it. I know I have like some form of anxiety. I can't leave the house without like locking the door 40 times. I have to like do numbers now. Like I have to lock the door 3 times. We have like the keypad, so I lock it 3 times. I check to make sure like the deadbolt's in there, and I'll open the door a couple times. There have been times where we've been like fucking on the highway, and I've turned around to go back home to make sure we lock the door.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I like started like figuring out like you have to do like if you guys do that, by the way, the unique thing to do is like you do something special to make you remember it. So after you lock your door, you kick your door at the bottom of the foot jam, and then like, hey, no, I kicked my door today. Yep, it's locked. Just a little tip. But that
Yeah.
anxiety, dude, I don't know where it comes from, and that's part of why I'm saying I'm proud of you guys because it's the first step to figure it out. Get the solution that you're looking for. But it might have something to do with the way we grew up. I was always so worried about what people would say about me or think about me or do to me or do behind my back. And
Yeah.
it just gets to a point where now I feel a lot better, even though I still have the anxiety with the doors and the cars and whatever. Um, I feel a lot better personally, like the way I see myself. I'm not as worried about um, how other people perceive me as often, I should say. And like you guys were talking about before, it's mainly to do with with Ingrid. You know, she's always on my side. She's always one. Hey, you look great. It doesn't matter what I
Mm-hmm.
wear. She's like, oh no, you look great. And I'm like, dog, shut up. Like I know damn well this isn't the right shirt for me. You know, but um, having somebody on your side or in your corner and always supportive, which is why I'm glad we're doing this because I feel like these are all people here who are super supportive and are that rock to lean on. You know, that's what you guys like all need in life. You know what I mean? That's what we all need to have is just somebody where we can lean on and know for sure like, hey, they got my back. They're not gonna talk shit to me or whatever. Like you just
Yeah.
need that backup, you know. And I think that changes your whole mentality. It boosts your confidence, and at the end of the day, I think if you get the confidence going, it's a lot easier to deal with the rest of the things we have to deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, and the biggest step is just find that one person. Like, you don't have to do it on a scale like this if you're not comfortable. But
Right.
finding that one person and just telling your story for the first time, that's going to be the hardest time. And then the more you talk about it, it gets easier the more that you start to talk about it. But if you don't talk about it, it's going to feel like this huge, like, just like rock in your gut and your throat that like you just can't do it. So I would say if anyone out there that's struggling or they don't know, find a friend that you trust, or someone that you confide in, a family member, just someone, and just talk to them. Get it out. You need to just get it out because bottling things up, just you explode at the end. And you never know. The person that you reach out to might have a story that they can tell you about. But I want to say too, with Week, I've known him for a bit now, and he seems someone that's put together and confident, right? So assumptions is a topic in of itself. A lot of people like to assume things on other people just because of the way that they present themselves, right? So that's the other thing. Just because someone looks a certain way right now doesn't mean they weren't affected in some way in their past, or they're dealing with it right now and they just have a brave face, right? So, Week, thank you, dude. You know, you're my broski. Love you, man.
You got it, bro.
I'm happy your mic worked.
Sorry for all of the delays that we had to encounter because
Dude,
of me. It's
it's
my fault.
Don't you worry. It's all worth it. So now I kind of want to go into like coping mechanisms. Because I think that's kind of contrary, like, to what we're talking about. Like, we all just didn't get over it. We didn't just like snap our finger one day. We're like, you know what? I'm fine. Doesn't happen. So if anyone wants to start jumping in, like, what are some things that you've done to help get over some of your anxieties, or what are some routines that you do? If it's daily, weekly, or just like one of those like, hey, this is a random thing. I need to do this right now. I need to go meditate. Like, what are some things that you guys do to handle your stress?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I've got a couple. I'm always excited to share these.
Oh, I love you.
Okay, so on the topic of depression, so I kind of just categorize these, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes with mine, it is loneliness. So for that, I try not to let myself be alone. I get into a stream, and I just lurk, or I call my parents, or I take a walk with my husband or the neighbor. And if all else fails, I go to one of the national park sites. It's called explore.org. They've got live cams of animals from like zoos and nature preserves, and I put on whatever animal I want. And I know that there's going to be an orca or something.
I love
And
that.
it's going to make me happy because I'm not by myself. So for that, I try to put myself in a position where I'm like, this is happening in real time. Someone else out there in the world is present in the same world I am. And that helps with the loneliness. For me, mine also manifests as anger some days. and a lot of people might not think of that when they think of depression, but you get so tired of feeling nothing that you get angry at yourself, kind of feeling. And sometimes I have to switch ideas from that. And I follow a practice that's 3 good things. So what I do is I choose 3 things during my day that are inherently good. On some days it's hard, and you choose things like I was able to brush my hair today,
Mm-hmm.
or I ate a good meal today, or I have a roof over my head today. And saying these 3 things leads me to want to say more good things. So I had the opportunity to be here with you guys today. I got to hear your stories. I've had at least 1 good meal today. Those are my 3 at least. I do that every single day, even if the day is bad. And that turns the day around to say, was the day really bad? Was it a bad brain day? Kind of thing. For depression and anxiety, I also do a technique called grounding. I don't know if you guys have heard of that before. Say I'm shaking Angela's. Yeah. Grounding is really great. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with grounding, you're using all of your senses to put you in right now, in the present. So I usually start with what I can see, then go to what I can feel, hear, and then smell. Smell's hardest. And I use two or three things. So things I can see how bright my stream light is. I can see my red controller. I can see my pink phone case. And now I've now located myself between 3 objects. And that grounds me visually. And then you go through each sense, and then by the time you're done, you're in a breathing pattern that immediately calms you, which is so helpful. And it's dealing with anxiety, and I would say catastrophism, if you guys have that as well. I have that fear of going out and doing anything. I'm going to get hit by a car. A hurricane's going to come out of nowhere. Someone's going to rob me. Like, it's going to happen. I just can't get rid of that thought. And sometimes grounding helps eliminate that and saying, I have one goal. We're going to the store today. Okay, what catastrophes could happen at the store? And then you make your list of, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then you ground from there. And it makes it a little bit easier. You get in, you get out, you get home. Deep breath, kind of thing. And then the last thing I would suggest is, this is something that I'm on Twitter with, I think every single day, is something called the spoon theory. And this is something that is very heavily used in chronic disease and chronic disability circles. And I wish I had spoons to show you. You start out your day with a certain amount of spoons. And you hold these spoons in your hands. You can't hold spoons with your feet. You can't put spoons in your mouth. You can't, you can't put a bag of spoons. No, you get to hold a certain amount of spoons per day. Okay? Each thing you do costs a certain amount of spoons. So on a bad brain day, getting out of bed might cost more than 1 spoon. Okay? Talking to a friend might take 3 spoons instead of 1 spoon, or give you back a spoon. And some days it's hard to recognize what is going to refresh my spoon count. Do I need sleep? Is sleep going to take a spoon from me today? Is eating going to take 2 spoons? So something I recommend is, and that I've been working with people, is to wake up and think, how many spoons do I have today? Do I have 6? Do I have 16? Do I have 23? Do I have enough to go out and get what I need to have done? Or is this going to be a day where I'm going to be a little short on the things that I need to do? For example, taking a shower for me sometimes takes 5 spoons. And that's a lot. So getting up, say, takes 2, shower takes 5, that's already 7. Am I going to feed myself? How many spoons did I start out with today? If I started out with 10, it might be that my last 3 go towards eating. And then I'm out of spoons. I can give no more. So what happens is, when you can identify the amount of spoons you have per day, you are able to control and prevent yourself from going into negative spoons. Sorry for the road noise. Someone really enjoys joyriding. So their spoons are being spent on joyriding. I don't have the spoons for that. My spoons were all saved for this evening. I slept today and I ate one meal. But that's okay. That's okay. Because I knew I had this and this is important to me. So I was like, okay, I need to save at least 4 spoons. And I woke up this morning and I was like, ooh, I'm pretty tired.
Mm.
Maybe we should save some spoons for later. Okay, so when you go into negative spoons, you're going to have the next day where you have obviously less spoons in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And if you continue to do negative spoon days, you run completely out of spoons, and that usually triggers either a depression event, an anxiety event, or a sickness event. So in my mind, if I keep my spoons on track, I should not have any big issues with depression. I should not be crying for no reason because I'm well controlled. Anxiety wise, it should be minimal attack. I should be able to pull myself out of it. And then I am very often to get sick. So it keeps me healthy as well because I have enough spoons to take care of myself. So there's are a couple ways that I kind of keep up with things. So 3 good things: grounding and spoons probably be the big 3 there.
Yeah, no, and thank you for introducing that because I'm reading chat. You guys think I'm not? I am. But it looks like you introduced those mechanisms, right? Call them that. To a lot of people, especially spoons, because I never heard about that one. It's very interesting. I'm definitely gonna look into that more. And then grounding, that's something that a few people I saw know about, but I appreciate you, yeah, for talking about
problem.
those. Yeah, no, that's very interesting.
One more thing.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people in chat talking about how you don't have the funds right now to go to a therapist. I understand that. I don't have the funds right now either. We just don't have it.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot going on. Here's your solution. Okay, along with Sam, what she said for getting a close friend, get a family member, somebody. Okay, 7cupsoftea.com. I want you to write it down. 7cupsoftea.com. It is a free peer-to-peer therapy service. You connect with a stranger. They help you through what you're going with. You can set it up so you have a scheduled meeting with them every week at a certain time, and they can recommend to you if you see a professional. They're specifically trained for you. I've been through the training. It's long. There's a lot of training. Okay. They do not get paid. They're there out of the kindness of their heart. And that's something that when you feel you're stable, you could also become a listener for 7 Cups of Tea. So when you're feeling really lonely and explore.org orcas are not doing the trick, 7 Cups of Tea. Okay. They also have daily positive reminders, which can help you with your 3 things list. So check that out. It's completely free. You just sign up with an email. They don't send you any emails or anything. Very hands off. And they do have a phone app. So if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're freaked out and you need someone just to say, it's okay, take a deep breath, go home, they're going to be there for you, which is really, really nice.
That's big, especially because like for me, it happens on like public transportation all the time where I'm freaking out. I'm like, I'm gonna throw up all over this fucking place, so like that's like perfect for that. And obviously, you can be at home too. Happens in the bathroom, whatever, you're trying to take a shower and you just don't have the strength to. So I definitely memorized that website, and I think it'd be cool too, like somewhere down the road, if I can, be, like you said, a listener to someone, that would be amazing to do, if we ever get to that point. That was awesome. Does anyone else have any other coping mechanisms? I feel like everyone does.
Go. Sorry. I am like, admittedly, I'm super lazy. So like, I've tried the whole like yoga meditation thing, but I'm lazy. I'm depressed. I'm lazy. If it's hard enough for me to just to get up from bed. How am I going to convince myself to do yoga or meditate or something? So the only thing I have access to at all times is my mind. Which is why I like what I was saying before. I lie to myself all the time. I'm like, oh, something I could feel poorly that day. I could look at myself and in my mind I'm like, ugh, you look awful today. I'll just lie. I'll be like, today's a great day. I look fine. My friends love me, and at the end of the day, who cares how I look? Like it's selfish of like this is what I say to myself. It's selfish of me to assume that people care enough to judge me. Like I'm like people have much more bigger things going on in their life than judging me. So I'm like, I'm gonna go on, I'm gonna dress the way I want to dress. I'm gonna, even if I feel like I look big in something, it doesn't matter. People don't care enough. They have their own lives, their own families, their own work. So it's just a constant stream of me telling myself these things to convince myself because these physical like solutions, like again, meditating, yoga, I've tried like group therapy. Like it's just it's a lot. It's taxing. Like again with the spoons, it takes a lot of spoons enough to get out of bed. So I'm just gonna use the one thing I've always have access to, which is my mind.
Yeah, and it's funny. Spookum said in chat, "Fake it till you make it."
Yeah.
You got it. You got it. And it's funny because that applies like in anything too, right? It applies in the corporate world. It applies in school. It implies, friendships too sometimes, right? So yeah, no, it's true, and it's funny because I used to have issues where, because I worked in Manhattan, so I had to take public transportation. I had to do like the train and the subway, and I'd be like nauseous on all of them, and I hated every second of it. But when I would wake up, I'm like, I gotta do it again. Just looked myself in the mirror, and I was like, you look good, feel good. Let's do it.
Right.
I had to just push yourself every time. If you think that you don't have the energy, you probably stored deep down inside, you do have that little like 5% more that you could just give yourself that extra push. You
You've
sometimes have
got
to,
one more spoon in there.
yeah, you got one more
Yeah.
spoon. You can just dig it out, Sometimes you need to do that in order
Yeah.
for the rest of the day to become better. But yeah, no, thank you. That's something that I do a lot. My brain, I'll wake up to, and if I'm like feeling depressed or if I'm feeling lonely or something like that, I think about what do I have? Like what do I have right now? And I think about like, okay, I have my boyfriend, I have a good job, I have my health, my parents are still here. I start to list things that I have, and I'm like, that's important. Those things are big to me, and that's what those are my driving forces right now. This little sleepy dog over here, let me go play with him. Like I gotta think about the things that I have, not about the things that I don't have. So that's something that I do.
I've been staring at your dog for like
Yeah, I
like
was about to
15
say.
minutes now. It's so
He
cute.
He always does that. He just passes out. Lazy.
I definitely have quite a few coping mechanisms, I think. I spend more time being stressed out than I don't, and admittedly, it's kind of my fault. And well, part of it's my fault because I come from a family where if you're not constantly being productive, if you're not constantly doing something, work, creating something, making use of yourself every single day, what for what? What is your purpose? And so it's taken me years to be even okay with the concept of relaxation. But when I finally decided it was okay, that was the first step. I had to figure out what are the things that are truly relaxing to me. And I know like the stereotypical things people say for like self-care, those don't work for me. Like yoga, that doesn't work for me either. I'm asthmatic. So that whole deep breathing thing, it actually scares me. I can't do yoga. I can do it, but not for relaxation. Reading is very seldom a thing that's relaxing for me because I associate it with like schoolwork. I just can't. There's all those things that are like on all those like self-care lists, pamper yourself, like baths are hot. Those don't work for me. It has to be what is relaxing to you. And so I've always loved animals. And it's not even just, oh, I think dogs are cute. It's, I wanted to be a vet up until junior year of college. That's what I went to school for. I didn't realize how strong of a love for animals I had until I interned at a primate sanctuary. And I got to spend all my days with all of these super intelligent monkeys and primates and everything, and I realized I am so okay here. I'm not worried about everything going on. I am at my most basal person when I am just outside, when I am around animals, when I am in nature. So if I need to step away from all of the hubbub, because as much as I love streaming, I get socially exhausted, and when I'm done with the stream, I'm done. I'll walk
Yes.
outside. I'll take a walk. I have 2 duck ponds within walking distance from my front door. I'll go down there and I will hang out around the geese and the adorable little ducklings, and it just recenters me. It's cathartic. It's being around a bunch of animals who don't have to think about all these things like I do. I can just pretend I'm a duck and not worry about all the problems of adulthood and humanism. But if it's not nature, and I absolutely understand this is not it for everybody. I think I'm just psychotic. I played volleyball my entire life. So I like exercise.
Me too.
Love a good workout. So gym. I loved the gym for the longest time, but then when COVID happened, it was something insane. I decided, why not try that running thing? And I actually kind of I'm okay with it. It was nice just to get outside. It's any sort of like pumping. It's okay. The concept of endorphins is very real. Do something that pumps those endorphins in. Because if you're so busy worrying about keeping your breathing at a certain level, or how much weight can I do, or oh, let's try a new exercise, I don't think about anything else. I can just be. And then the third thing for me is art. And I'm very, very, very careful about not categorizing myself as an artist, because I'm not. Don't commission me. It's not gonna happen. It's just for me.
Don't commission me.
Do not commission me. I don't want your money in that fashion. Give it to me.
I know that feeling.
Some other way. I like to paint. I like to make things with clay. I like to buy 2,000 popsicle sticks and make a birdhouse. I just like art and creating and DIY projects. And I can do that mindlessly. Or I can build a house out of mismatched Legos. I have a giant, 20-gallon bucket full of Legos in my garage that I just get out sometimes and play with. It's creating. Because you don't have to think about it, because there's no one right way to do any sort of creativity. And those times when I don't have to think, when I'm not so focused on how I look, when I'm not so focused on how other people see me, because it's just me with myself, that is when I'm the most comfortable and when I'm relaxed. And so when the anxiety spikes, when I'm having those days where I just need to cry, or I just want to go to sleep, or please don't call me, because if you ask what's wrong, that's it. Turn my whole everything off. I go outside. I sit in the backyard. I work out. I take a nap. I draw. And it brings you back to your center. So there is something to be said about taking the time to discover what's relaxing for you.
Oh, yeah.
And having those days where you can just be yourself and just savor those things just for you, because it brings you back all the time, because the anxiety will take you way out here away from yourself, pull yourself back in.
Yep.
So that's it for me.
Yeah, no, and that's really important too. Well, there's 2 really important things that you touched on for me. One is, it is okay to fucking cry your eyes out. Like, even if you have to go watch a romantic movie, I don't care. Do it. Do it. You need to let it out. Gosh, and the whole like machismo thing, like, nah, men cry, get it out. Don't worry about that. Like, if a woman's gonna judge you, like if I'm gonna judge weak because you cried, then like I'm the one with the issues, not weak. Like I'm fucked up. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I watched The Notebook with Ingrid for the first time, and like that shit choked me up. I'm not gonna lie. You know, it was like, damn, dog. Like I felt that.
I'm scared. I've never seen it. I'm scared.
Oh, honey,
either.
Issues.
Never
2
seen
boxes.
it.
Oh,
You gotta watch it
don't
at
watch
least
it by
once.
yourself either.
No, I think I want to watch it by myself.
Yeah. Alex, I think it's really important that you brought up art, actually, because like I I am also do not like define myself as an artist. Um, but it's therapeutic, like in so many senses. You don't have to be an artist to do something. You can even just like play with clay, make a little figure, make some like hand art. I remember when I was in like the psychiatric hospital, one of the like it wasn't the doctors that had the biggest impact on me. It was like the music therapist and the art therapist because they gave me an outlet. It's important to have an outlet. Like even if you're like, "Oh, I don't feel good about my body today." You'll be like, "Okay, I'll just write it out in my journal. I'll paint, I'll mess around with some stuff." Your like Legos or what where you're mentioning. I thought that was really like important because like you don't have to be an artist to use that as an outlet.
There's
So
no
many
wrong way
different
to
ways.
talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no
That's
wrong
so
way.
many different ways to be creative and to like you were saying, have an
Yeah.
outlet, which is awesome.
Absolutely. My therapist she texts me at least 4 times a week to say, "Have you seen this new flower?" Because she knows I like plants. She
Aw.
gardens. She's a sweet old lady. She's God, I love her. She's like my best old lady friend. I love her.
You need a
But
flower press.
she'll text me and she's like, "Alex, can you tell me the name of this species of butterfly?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, this is this." And she's like, "Interesting. These colors are so beautiful." And the next thing you know, we're having a 2-hour conversation because I
Mhm.
texted her that morning saying I feel like the entire world is about to crush me to death. And
Mhm.
that's it. It's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
And going off of that too, like if you're not into art, it doesn't have to be art, but like you said, find something that is going to make your mind go to another place. Like for me, I drive. The last time I had like this crazy anxiety attack, I just got in my car, I shut my phone off, and I like literally like drove into the mountains. And I just like stopped, I got out of my car, um and I was able to breathe. No one was able to contact me because shut off your phone if you need to. Like sometimes you just need to disconnect from the world, and that's another thing that technology has done, where it's like you can't disconnect from people, and you feel like you constantly have to reach out, and you feel like you don't. Like for me, my phone is never by me all day long. We just learned this the other day. Literally, I'll text you back in like 3 hours. I'm sorry, but like it's what I do, and it's because I used to be so attached to technology that it was driving me nuts. But yeah, finding what it is that's going to take your mind off of your struggles is important. So whether that's just sit around and think about what you like, and it'll come to you when you least expect it. And you don't have to be good at it either. Like just find something.
And it might take time for you to find what you like, especially if your brain is working against you, if you're having a bad brain day.
Yeah.
I sometimes have days where I'm like, I don't know what I like. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what relaxes me. I don't know what's going to make me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to sleep. Like, but sleep isn't going to make me feel better, kind of thing. And you get in kind of a rut, and it's hard to identify what those relaxing things are. So Sam and you other guys, being able to say, I specifically know I can go out in nature and that's going to get me a spoon back, or I know I can go out and drive and I'm going to get a spoon back, is so valuable. And you might have to keep a list.
Yeah.
For me, that's something that I might do, is just write it down, be like, okay, playing this game by myself, no stream,
Mm-hmm.
instant spoons.
I think you have to be careful as well, because a lot of people think it has to be in this like one criteria, like you have
Right.
to go here, that like if I tell you, and I will tell you guys, like the things that calm me down, and you guys will probably laugh because it's so stereotypically British. Genuinely, a cup of tea, it centers me because it's something that it's the root of who I am. Like to me, I can sit there, I can hold it, I feel the warmth, I smell the tea that is
Grounding.
That's
inside,
the
and I
grounding.
know.
Grounding.
But it's like at the same point, I'm also one of these people that I'm 25. I've got toys, I snuggle things, I constantly have something that distracts me from thinking bad thoughts. And a lot of the things that I do for how I have dealt with everything is changing the pathways in your head,
Mhm.
because we've all had these experiences where people have told us we aren't pretty, we're fat, we're bad for doing whatever we have done. And it's like our brain tells us now that that's what we should accept, and
Mhm.
it isn't. So I have techniques that I have worked on, and one of them is called tapping. And I don't know if anyone has ever used it. And it's really bizarre to do this. The tapping technique is like it focuses on what I think it's 7 different parts you tap, 7 or 9. It really depends on which one you do. And you have to identify what is wrong, like what you personally feel is wrong. So
Mm.
it might be, even though I am scared to go outside because people might think I am fat, I deeply and completely accept myself. And you repeat this phrase over and over again. And it's like you tap yourself
Yeah, it's
while
like
saying it
Mhm.
in different areas, and you work through these areas and you repeat this on a regular basis until you start to go, you know what, I do accept myself. It doesn't matter what people are saying out there. As long as you accept who you are, what the fuck does it matter what anyone else around you says? Because at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
I won't meet them again. Or even if I know them, they may like leave my life. Like, what are they giving to me? And
Exactly.
I have been one of these people that if anyone is starting to take too much from me, I go, you don't give anything.
no
If you're not going to
spoons.
give anything, I'm just going to literally cut you out, because
Mhm.
life is too short to have someone tell you on repeat that you're not worthy, you're not good enough, and set your anxiety and depression off. And it's just better to go goodbye and carry on with the people that are caring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
If
think
you
And it's
guys,
hard. Hard
it
to
is
do
hard.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
the
guys
big
want to,
word.
if you guys want to try tapping, oh, I'm sorry, honey. YouTube video, and you're gonna want to do it by yourself first, because it
Hmm.
feels weird when someone else is in the room. Like it's just like, what am I doing? And like you become self conscious of.
Even alone, it feels really weird.
Yeah, yeah, and have a box of tissues. The first time I did it, I was a mess, like absolute mess. So it's actually too intense for me to use
Hmm.
as a technique. So give it a try. Tam brought up a really, really great method to try, and it's another free option. Another free option that's recommended by licensed people, which is great.
Yeah. Never
High
heard
five
of
for
that.
help.
Me neither.
Yeah, no, tapping's a really good
Tapping.
technique. But if you do find that that's too much, the other thing I do when I don't have enough time, I don't know if anyone else here has ever had this, where you walk past a mirror and you go, "Oh God, no, I don't want to see that."
Yeah.
All the
Yeah, force yourself, as bad as it is, to go back to that mirror and look at yourself and list 5 things you like about yourself. It can be small. Like today I like the way my like eyebrows are shaped. I don't know. I like the way my fingers look when they're there. It can be as weird as you want, as long as it is something you look at yourself, small things, and just go, I like this, I like this. And it can be the same every day, because
Hmm.
eventually you'll start picking things you like and you will keep building up what is good about you, and you won't look at the negatives. You'll just go, I like this, and eventually you will just accept yourself.
Mhm.
I think one of the big words that I heard, that it's weird. It's almost been like a 180 switch for me. Used to actually be an absolute trigger, was the concept of worth or worthiness. I never felt even close to being worthy of anything. To this day, I don't take compliments well. I was like, no, because 98% of everybody I've ever met has said that I'm not. I like the entire concept of just stopping and saying, like, forcing yourself to look in the mirror and find something you like about yourself. And one of the things I've started doing, and I always have to be careful because I don't like irritating people, but I started posting more pictures of myself for
Mhm.
myself. I actually don't care what anybody else thinks about it. But for me to be able to say, oh, take 200 pictures and actually find one that I actually am okay with,
Right.
and then say, you look great in that picture. You wanted that top, you went and bought it, you took a picture in it, and you have put it out there. It exists, and people have seen you in it, and for you to be proud of that. The first time I posted one of my selfies, I legitimately cried for 20 minutes because I was so happy. I was like, I found one, and I'm okay with it. And it's just been so good for like the self-worth thing. Oh my God. I'm trying not
That's
to cry
almost
now.
exactly like Carol LaBelle was saying, that you have to lie to yourself almost. And I do the same thing that you guys were talking about. If I walk by the mirror, when I was in college, the one thing I focused on was like, okay, my eyes are pretty. At least my eyes are pretty. At least my eyes are pretty. At least my eyes are pretty. Like it's like one thing over and over again. And after a while, that lie, like Carol was saying, becomes truth. You know, you walk by the mirror and I don't even think about my eyes anymore. It's like, okay, I need to move on to the next thing.
Right.
I have almost no eyebrows, but hey, I have eyebrows. that you know, that's something positive. So I think that's great, is to start reinforcing and saying, yeah, I am worthy of the time and worthy of giving myself respect, which is hard to do because we focus so much on others coming in and telling us, you know, you have that worth, but inherently we don't treat ourselves that way, which is really hard, really hard to do when you've got all this going on. And even if you don't have some extra health things or extra brain stuff going on, it's not easy. It's not easy to be kind to yourself every day.
No, and especially with social media, it's like Alex took her a while to grow that strength to post her picture. But imagine if somebody in there said something bad. It's gonna take her a while, to come back, and people don't realize that. So that's what we were talking about before. Think about the things that you say, because you have no idea how it's gonna affect someone. Like, I've only known Alex for a few months, and she's always seemed like this confident, amazing, great person, and I would never have known she was struggling with anything. So it's just like, don't assume someone's okay. You have no idea. So social media, I think, plays a big role. And even for me, sometimes, some of my friends that I knew in college and stuff, they're like, hey, you kind of disappeared. You don't really post or anything anymore. And I ended up gaining 40 pounds after college, and I was like, not really confident here. I don't really like the way I look in any of these pictures. I'm not posting shit. I just appreciate the fact that I fell off. I don't care. But and I wouldn't go to hang out with my friends. I always canceled because I was like, well, this person's gonna be there and I haven't seen them in a year, and they're gonna be like, holy shit, she gained so much weight. Instead of just seeing me for me, I was so worried about what people were gonna think about when they saw me. And I was an athlete for most of my life, and now it's like, whoa, it looks really different. But and I still think that.
Yes.
I still think that now to this day. I'm like, I cancel on people all the time, to the point where I'm like, COVID's kind of like a hidden gift to me right now, because I'm like, well, now I have this time to work on myself. It's so stupid, but it's not, and people don't realize. Yeah.
I know the feeling. I've got a friend who just recently went through gastric bypass surgery, and she's always been bigger than me. And I've seen her posting beautiful pictures of herself on her Instagram, and I'm like, instant fear. I'm not as thin as she is anymore. I'm not as beautiful. I can never be as beautiful as she is. And that's so wrong.
Yeah.
That's just so, it's so frustrating, because we have been friends for years and years and years and years and years. And I even lived with her. We were roommates. They were roommates. Okay. So, and we get together almost every Halloween. And I was thinking about her coming to see me this year, and I was like, is it going to be the same Julie? She's still the same person, right? She's just in a different body.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I was like, yeah. And it's been probably 50 plus pounds on myself since I've seen Julie. But Julie sees me every day, if I stream, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing her in these photos is just like, wow, it's just a huge difference. And sometimes it's hard to get ourselves out of that the person exists up here
Mm-hmm.
and not everywhere else. And that's a big thing too, is that I think if as I look at each of you, I'm like looking at your eyes in the middle of your forehead. I haven't evaluated what the rest of you look like. I'm like, somewhere in there is that person, that person, that person, that person, that person, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And I identify you by how you actually are. And that's something that's hard to do, especially with social media. So
Yeah.
there.
And it's hard not to compare yourself to others too, which is along the lines of what you were just talking about. You're like, I've known her my whole life and now she's so much thinner. But it's like, no, that's still the same person. Like, let's
Yeah, and to
think
be
about
happy
them.
for her that she's
Exactly.
healthy.
Yes, yes, yes.
Like, yes. Like, I want to cry for you. You were so successful in what you were trying to do. Let me be proud of you and not jealous.
Exactly.
Kind of
And it's a hard thing to kick, and it's hard to admit. Like, yeah, you know what? I am kind of a jealous person, and I am going to compare myself to other people, but like, it's hard not to. It's just natural. It's just what we do as human beings, right? So don't be upset at yourself because you did compare yourself, but just know, okay, how can I do it better next time? How can I change the way that I thought this time and be better going forward with how I'm going to interact, socially with someone, or, with, even if it's the person on the TV, which you can get into that for forever too, with how media likes to portray the perfect people with the perfect hair. Motherfuckers, like, screw that. Let's throw that out the bag. We're not even going to get into that because that's fake. That's fake. It's all fake. Everybody here is real. Everyone has a story. Everybody's got lives, but I kind of, since we're all one of the last topics I do want to talk about, I think we're getting on 2 hours, yeah, somewhere around there, is how I feel like most of us are using gaming as an outlet. I don't think I'm wrong for assuming that. So does anyone want to talk about how they use gaming to kind of escape from reality and get rid of anxieties, or
Oh my god.
yeah, and like Ange said earlier, to re-socialize too. Like, I want to talk about how like gaming actually plays a big part in all of our lives.
Go for it. Go for it. No, you go for it. No.
Okay.
No, I want you
Well,
to talk.
I got a couple of things. All right. I'll talk. First, I want to touch on chat and a couple of people talking about how they don't cry or they can't, which there's all kinds of reasons for that. I don't understand that because I can cry at a good commercial, especially those South Korean commercials, even though they're subtitled and it's like the dude dropping off hot dogs or whatever it is. I will cry at that shit for an hour. It's like,
yeah,
it just happens. Or like in the middle of this, I think we were what? Here's one thing. I do not understand this paying for things because I'm in Canada, so our mental health care is free. Just saying.
Jealous.
So I don't understand this. Like I can make a phone call, book an appointment, go to the appointment, come home, and get a cup of coffee on the way home. And I paid for the gas to get there and the cup of coffee until tax time. Anyway, but yeah, I cry over anything. The middle of like 2 months into lockdown, I completely broke down because I realized how fucking weird this whole thing's going to be for the kids.
Mm.
And now they're in school and they have to wear masks on the bus, in school, everything, and it's just, So I get why some people can't cry, or like they're physically incapable, or they have that mental block, especially some of you guys specifically. I see you. Where you've got it drilled into your heads that you shouldn't, or it's okay. You can fucking cry all you want to. All right. Now, the coping things for me, music. I will put music on, and I'm like, I like playing, like, video games are an escape, but music is where I go when I'm about to spiral out. I will put on music, whatever kind of music it happens to be that fits my mood. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be polka, it could be classical, it could be death metal, it doesn't matter. And I just put it on, turn it up, and I just stop thinking and just let it go in. Whenever I'm doing, no matter where I am, even right now, I have music on because that's how I keep grasp with my emotions. The other thing is you need to create a space for yourself that you can go to, whether it's a room, a corner, a closet. For me, it's been mostly this summer, it's been my hammock where I can just go in, I lay in it, and my problem is when I get, especially with anxiety, is I just feel like my brain's expanding outward and I'm losing grasp of everything. So I have to stop paying attention to myself and just listen to everything around me. It's very auditory for me. I have to listen to all the outside world and let it push me back in. And that sound of the birds and the cars and the kids in the playground, or whatever it happens to be. It could be the neighbors next door having sex. It doesn't matter. All that stuff just outside, external to me, pushes me back down into myself so that I can get control again. Gaming is an escape in that I can go to these places that I might otherwise not get to do all these wonderful things. But for me, mainly, it's a tool to learn how to socialize again. Connecting with people through MMOs or whatever it is, these multiplayer experiences, that's how I'm learning how to first socialize and talk to people again, because I've closed myself off for so long. But also it's helping me understand that there actually are other people out there that I can talk to, that I can hold real conversations with, because a lot of the people, especially where I've been in the game industry in and out for 20 years, a lot of the people local to me have no idea what that's like. Or a lot of the other things of travel, because they've never left the province or they've never left the town, whatever. And I've been all over hell and creation. It helps me connect with people in a way that nobody around me I can, because they don't know it. They don't understand it. So, yeah. Okay, I'm done.
An abrupt end. No, it's true. Everything's a coping mechanism. At least for me with gaming, it's not more so coping. It's a way for me to be confident in myself, where when I first started compared to where I am now, I'm a lot more outspoken. I feel like I've reached a point where I don't really care what anyone thinks. I don't care if they judge whatever I'm doing. Like, I have created this, we call it the dojo, I like to say that this is a place for positivity. This is a place where I want to make sure that people are happy, where they have fun, they forget about things. So I guess it's kind of hand in hand, right? I want to be more confident as a person, but at the same time, I've reached a point where I feel like I am a lot more mentally stable right now, and I want to help people. And I want to just make this an outlet, like what we're doing right now. I want to do more of this. I just want people to feel confident and happy with themselves as much as I possibly can. I want to help as many people as I can. So that's why I really got into streaming, and now it's just making more sense as I'm going on my journey. But what about anyone else? How
I
got into
just
gaming?
wanted to say, like, Sam, I completely agree with you. Gaming isn't really a coping mechanism for me. Why I fell in love with gaming, especially the online aspect of it, is because I never had like friends growing up, like IRL friends. So when I started gaming, it helped me realize that I'm not like this loner antisocial person, and that there are people out there who I can be friends with and get along with, and that I was meeting people that I loved, and it's like, oh, there are actually good people out there, and that's why I fell in love with it, really. And just like whenever I felt lonely or sad, I could connect with my online friends and just immediately feel better. So that's one reason I loved it so much. So in terms of that. That's my escape with gaming.
Totally. And I didn't think that I would find like such close friends too going through this. Like I literally was just like, oh, these are a bunch of strangers. Like I don't know any of these people. And now like for the most part almost every night we're just talking about life and like hanging out, and like we just Munir's birthday was yesterday. We made him cry because we love him so much. And like, yeah, another happy birthday, Munir. Sorry. But it's just like you don't realize like the impact that Twitch has had on a lot of people. Although there are negative aspects, and there's negative anywhere, no matter what you do. But I think that it's done a lot for a lot of people in the more positive direction.
Definitely, definitely in my case too, because after being diagnosed and essentially told I couldn't do anything, and was let go from dental school, the only thing I had left was a little bit of money from all of the equipment, all my dental equipment that I sold. And I was like, okay, I'll get a computer. I guess I'll play some games. And reaching out and being found by other streamers and being taken under their wing and immediately sharing my story with them, and they're like, "Oh honey, welcome home." And I remember meeting the people that I first interacted with, and I just sobbed. And I was like, why have I been in a world of people who work themselves to the bone? And like now here I am broken. I'm no longer the person that I wanted to be when I was growing up, that I saw myself as being. And like now I'm finding my tribe, my people.
Mm-hmm.
And then them introducing me to Twitch, and then it's like suddenly like, wow, there are actual nice people on the planet.
Yeah.
There are people who don't talk, you know, crap about you all the time, or don't put you down every single day, or things like that. People who actually want to be around me, and it's like, what? Nobody's ever wanted to do that before. Why would that suddenly change? And you realize that the people that you were surrounded with in real life were just completely toxic people, and that's normal for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I had such a major breakdown coming into Twitch and streaming and being on YouTube, and starting to accept people coming in and saying, "Hey, I'm here just because you're here. I don't care what game you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just here to check on you, say hi. It's good to see you. You're alive. Good job." You know, kind of thing. And I think that's just a huge boost that I think a lot of people don't realize. When you come by Twitch and you at least say hi, that's like, whoa, wow, social interaction.
Yeah.
I can't go anywhere. I can't drive. I can't go anywhere by myself because I get confused. I don't even go on walks with Maggie by myself because I worry I'll fall and I'll hurt myself. Um, so when I have the ability to be around all you guys and come to Twitch and be on YouTube, it's like, wow, I can have a normal life. I can still have friends. I can still meet people. I can still do all these things. And I think that ties in directly with why I came back to gaming. Because graduate school takes all your time. You become a zombie. And my career was about to become my life. And I was like, I hate this. I hate it. I love dentistry, but I hate it. I hate this. You know, I couldn't escape it. There was no way to escape. And after the FMS diagnosis, I started to see myself as unable to do things. I can't. And I got back on my Stardew Valley save that I've had for 3 years, going on year 4. And I'm like, I can use a pickaxe. I can use an axe. I can use blah, blah, blah. I can have as many plants as I want. And I am able to escape, finally, and do something that I could never do before. I can climb a mountain in a video game and be proud of my success and take it as a success. Like I spent energy, I did it. I did it, you know, kind of thing. Whereas in real life, I get to celebrate much smaller goals, you know, kind of thing. But I think gaming has definitely been therapeutic to show me that I'm still able to do things, and to give me confidence to try things in real life too, even though things have changed.
Yeah, and especially with a lot of us dealing with anxieties, especially like going outside and meeting new people. Twitch has made it easy to go in and be vulnerable and meet friends, you know, again. And I'm definitely grateful for that side of it. Like, I consider all of you guys friends now. But without it, especially with COVID, if I didn't have this, I don't know where I'd be. I probably would have drove myself crazy, honestly, and I would have had very negative thoughts. Would have went right back into depression. So I'm glad that this outlet is here for all of us and everyone else that's in chat. It's, honestly, it's been life changing for me. Yeah. Does anyone have anything else they want to add? We wrap this baby up.
I did remember something.
Yeah.
Yeah, about the looking in the mirror thing. The thing I do when I happen to look at myself in the mirror is when I catch myself doing it, because I know I do it, is I will stand there and I will just make funny faces at myself until I laugh. And that, like, I don't need a list of things. I just need to look as ridiculous as I can to make myself laugh. And then I'm over the moment and I can walk away.
That's awesome. I love that.
So
Like
wholesome.
that.
I can see you doing that too.
Yeah, right. I'll add something real quick, if
Yeah.
you guys don't mind. So one thing for me, we were talking about it earlier on, find something to do, and I'm kind of one of those people, and I don't know, I kind of want to say it in case anybody could relate. I don't know what to do ever. There's nothing I'm really super into. There's nothing that I really like, and anytime I have a pretty addictive personality. So when I start doing something, I do it till it's overkill, and I hate it. And I've kind of done that with a lot of things to the point where I'm trying to be smarter about it.
Mhm.
I took up golf, and then I went out all the time. And golf is seasonal, right? So you can't really go in the winter. But along with golf, I would have a drink while I was at the course or something like that, and then it turned into more of a drinking with golf instead of a golfing with a drink. So that was like something I had to take back on a little bit too, and kind of realize what was right and wrong about the situation. Uh, and then I really like gambling. That's just like an honest part of me. Like I've always liked it since I was like 18 and could do certain things till I turned 21. And I've also had to realize that that's also not a healthy outlet. So for somebody like me who doesn't have a lot of outlets, one thing I always try to remind myself, which is the point of all this, and what I was saying is, I read somewhere a while ago there's like a 5 rule or something. It's like a 5 and 5 rule. I don't know exactly, but basically like if it's not going to affect you in 5 years, don't spend 5 minutes worrying about it. For somebody like me who's worried about like something different all the time, uh it was one of those things where I was like, hey, all this little shit I let bother me throughout the day, bro, in 5 years, like I'm not going to be worried. Like there's no way.
I
So
love that.
we take it back, and I just want to share that with for anybody who doesn't have like a whole lot of outlets. That's always been my go-to. Like, hey man, in 5 years, hopefully I don't have to worry about this. I'm out, dude. I'm not worrying about this anymore. I'm not gonna spend 5 fucking minutes on it.
Mhm. Definitely. That's important too, like especially like if you feel yourself getting upset about something or if you feel like you want to lash out, think about the impact, think about the long game. Like you said, is it worth it? Should I react? And then think about the consequences and the results of what can possibly happen. So that's really important that you mentioned that. Especially now, like especially if you're talking a lot through text too, things can get misconstrued. So I think that's super important. Just always think about what the result is going to be from what your action is, whether it's small or large. Like we said, words can kill you way more than you punching me in the face, because my face will heal but my brain is not. And so that's how I always think about it.
Going off that, and I that's really, really personal for me. A lot of the anxiety likes to manifest itself is like what I like to call very, very early midlife crisis mode, where you grow up thinking, okay, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna graduate college, and I already have a job that has benefits, and I'm gonna be well off, and I'm gonna be living on my own by the time I'm 24. Well, I'm 23. Here we are. Life is hard. Things don't go that way. Nothing is. It's rarely ever that simple. And when it wasn't exactly how I thought it was going to turn out, I was like, I've wasted 22 years of my life.
I know that.
I have nothing to show for it. I'm going to die tomorrow with no idea what's going on.
I have no skill, no talent.
Exactly.
I have nothing in my name.
There is no mark that will be left. No one's gonna remember. It was that bad. And so for me, I did have to adopt like the 5 and 5 rule. I had to be like, okay, so you're not rich at 24. Who the hell is? That's fine. Like, you have time. You absolutely have time. And I have to get like super stern with myself. Like, I have to call myself by my full first name. I have to be like, Alexandra, for the love of God, shut up. It doesn't even make sense. Do you hear yourself? You have time. It's not gonna matter. 2 years from now, why are you this worried about it? Why are you this worried about it? Because all that time spent worrying about it could either be used to be productive and get towards where you want to be. It could be used to be treating yourself better. I am my own worst critic. I treat myself way worse than anybody ever could, which is why I'm not afraid of people treating me bad so much as I'm afraid of what I'll say to myself after. So being able to tell myself, how serious is that? Because if it's not at least an 8, we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to think about it. We're not going to worry about it. That has been a process, but it is very, very helpful all the time.
Definitely. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't have said it any better.
Yep. And it's a problem a lot of people have, is setting like these big goals over long periods of time that just aren't realistic. It's like setting yourself a lot shorter term, much more achievable goals, and then you can like feel the accomplishment from doing it, even if it's something small. Is like
Right.
such a big deal compared to, you try to set yourself a 5-year goal. That's, how can you know what's going to happen in 5 years? Like,
One
it's just
tip
way too much.
I've heard that I think would resonate well with people is to make your goals very specific. Like, for me, like if I'm gonna set a goal, like I'm a powerlifter, I want to add 10 pounds onto my squat. That's a very general goal. Like, say, all right, I'm gonna train for 6 weeks, 5 days a week, and my diet is gonna be very strict so I can achieve this goal in a defined period of time, and I know exactly what I need to do to achieve it. And having all of that information there, like written down, really helps set like the goal in stone instead of just being like, I have a goal, but I don't really know what to do, you know? So.
Totally. Yeah. Even like we said, if the goal is just get out of bed, too. Like,
it can be as simple as that.
Yeah, and then you're at the end of the day, you're like, I did it.
Yes.
But also, like you were talking about Alex before. You're like, I spent like 22 years of my life, and I have nothing to show for it. I always like to think too, like, usually if you have one bad thing happen to you, Tam, your camera's inverted, so when you're timed out, Tam in chat.
I know. That's why I wrote it down both ways, forward and backwards.
I love you.
The job works.
The one on your right hand works.
It's right.
Your right hand, yeah. It's right. You're right. I love it. I love it. But anyway, like we were saying, like if you had a bad week and you had a good, like, let's say the month. Let's think about your month. I mean, you just had one bad week, but you had 3 good weeks. Think about those 3 good weeks, and then don't let that one bad week let you down. But also, like, it's really easy to generalize too, where you're like, I have nothing, and I have nothing to show. Like, it's so easy to generalize it and make yourself feel worse. But think about all your wins. I'm sure you had a bunch of tiny wins in between all the bad shit that happened to you. Like all the little things, even if it was just like someone told me I was beautiful on this one day. And then just think about that. I don't know. Like I try to always think about that one thing, even if it was one thing out of a whole month or a whole year. If I can think about that, like one day I like went and had ice cream with a friend, and then I'll just keep thinking about that one memory. I was like, that was really good, and I'm gonna keep thinking about that constantly over and over again.
I think that ties back to our worth discussion too.
Yeah, yeah,
Because that's an extremely relatable feeling to me, Alex, is that I've spent all this time, I went to 4
yeah.
years of education, and now I'm disabled, and I'm worth nothing, essentially. But in reality, I'm really smart. Like, I completed an education. I'm
Mhm.
married. I have a lot of things. It's just that the plans that we made for ourselves were not realized. And that makes us feel like we've earned nothing, that we deserve nothing, and that we'll never become anything past that because our original goals failed. And it's hard to go from there and say, okay, it's all right to make a new goal and kind of reassign my worth to just existing.
Yeah.
That being a human being and
Yeah.
being alive, congratulations, you've
Is
made
enough.
that's enough.
Exactly.
That's enough. You don't need to like you were saying, Alex, like before you were like, I'm 23 years old and I have nothing to show for. Um I that is not true. But even that aside, it's okay to just be human and be alive. Like you don't
Oh, I
have to
love
have
that.
anything.
Yeah.
You don't have to have anything to prove. If you woke up and got out of bed today, congrats. You're a person. That is incredible, and like you should be happy for yourself. Like I think a lot of toxicity and mostly capitalism teaches us that we need to be productive to be valued.
Mm.
But it's again,
Agreed.
it's important to just be alive and
Productive equals worth, which is unfortunate.
yeah.
As long as I remember pants, I consider every day
Yeah.
a victory.
But you don't need pants.
Nah.
Not
no,
here.
but if I
Productive
want to leave
just
the
means
house,
Yeah,
getting
no,
out
I
of bed.
know.
Like, to me, productive is just getting out of bed and doing something that you may have wanted to do that day. It may not be what you set out to do that day,
Mm-hmm.
but we all change our minds. Like, if all of a sudden you go, I'm actually not feeling that, but I can do that, you've then still achieved something. It might not be what you wanted to, but it's probably what your body and your mind state needed to achieve that day.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something you should pat yourself on the back on. It's like, I look
Yeah.
at everyone in this call and everyone in the chat, and I'm like, this whole thing about body positivity, we are all different. Look at us. Like, and yet we're all amazing human beings. We've all had similar situations. We're all human beings that are just getting on with whatever the fuck we've been dealt.
Mm-hmm.
So why put others down? Like, I'm very much of the support of I don't see an ugly person in here. So just raise each other up every day. That's all any of us can do. Like, raise yourself, raise the others.
Right.
I like to do something that makes me feel like I've contributed. I don't. That's a weird way to put it. One thing I like to do is at least one small act of kindness every day. And it's kind of selfish why I do it when you really think about it. I mean, I love how it makes that person feel, but I also like how it makes me feel because at least at the end of the day, if everything else has gone wrong, I'm a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so, for example, today, my he's decided that his allergies are going to kill him. And he wanted me to go get him the biggest medicine ball from Starbucks that you can possibly order. And I paid with cash. And the girl in the window, like you could tell she's just stressed. She's so tensed. And so I paid with cash and purposely said, I want you to keep all of the change. And she was like, okay, well, do you want the dollar back? I said, all of the change. I want you to keep it. And she was like, thank you. Thank you so much. And for me, I was like, you're welcome. And of course, she feels better, but now I feel better because
Mm-hmm.
I've done something. I've done something that meant a lot to somebody else. And for me, it's selfish, but True.
It feels better to be kind.
It does.
Yes.
I,
And
I
it's
don't think that's selfish either.
It is so much easier, so much
Little
less
less
effort.
so much easier.
Oh God, it's so easy.
Why you gotta do that, Week?
Yeah, what the heck, man?
Get out of
We
here.
see you.
I see you. Enough. Thank you. Yeah,
Gifted.
what is there anything else anyone wants to talk about or close out our podcast with?
Well, a big thank you to you, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah,
bringing
No.
us together.
Oh, Sam.
Absolutely.
And you know, a little bit of tear jerking tonight was good. It was a good feeling to feel something different and to
Yeah.
meet people and to share our stories and hopefully some wise words and guidance to people in the chat and to each other. You know, kind of thing. I feel like I should have had a notepad and been like, do this, do this, do this, do this.
I know.
Doing on my phone this whole time.
See, I should have been like writing stuff down, and I'm like, I want to know these people, like, and I'm like, I'm on Twitter at the same time, and I'm like, what's their name? What's their name?
Yeah.
How do I find them?
Follow,
You know,
follow,
kind of
follow.
follow,
Yep.
follow, you know, kind of thing. So I think, and thank you, but also I'm so glad that you've made this opportunity and introduced me to wonderful people, and I'm excited to continue to see all of you
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yep.
Agreed.
No, definitely. And I want to thank all of you guys for this was not easy to talk about, like, at all. And just having you guys beside me so that I can talk to you about my stories and my experiences helped me be able to do it as well. So I think we all helped each other, and I'm just grateful, you guys. This was such an awesome conversation, and I feel like my heart feels like so like happy right now. Like I just feel like I want to go fucking like fight something right now. I don't know, like fight evil. Like I just like I just feel like
Smile hurting.
so energized, and like I feel good. I'm gonna go fight evil tomorrow. But no, I appreciate you guys. And I don't know if Phil and Grayson are still in here. You guys are freaking nuts. For that donation, we broke the goal. You guys are insane. So I think I might do a last stream of the month tomorrow. We'll see how I'm feeling. You guys know I do not plan anything, and I'm sorry. But once we are done with the month, I will make sure that we do a and I was gonna mash up to 500, so we'll see what that ends up being at the end of the month, and we will maybe we can do like a stream and like do it together or something. I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, and thank you for everybody in chat too, sharing your stories and just being a part of this. I think we're gonna do some more roundtables like this, some more topics. Maybe we'll come back to this one. Maybe some of you guys will come back and we can have some more conversations just to talk about some real stuff. Oh, Pupper! So cute. Yours is awake, unlike mine. Mine is actually he's actually looking at yours. He's waking up. He's like yawning, like, who's that?
Is there
Who's
a puppy
that?
in there? Is there a puppy in there?
Oh my god, I love it. But alright guys, so hold on, I'm gonna figure out, everybody stick around, we're gonna go throw this love bomb on someone.
Let's go.
We are gonna go to our friend Golden Diver, who is a sweetheart. He is one of the most genuine people that I've met in the past few weeks, and he's playing Warzone. He's in the zone right now, so we're gonna take him out of the zone. But guys, thank you again so much. Let's go say hi to Golden Diver and show him the love, and we will be back. I'm gonna record this. I'm gonna put it on my YouTube channel. I promise Danny. I'm gonna stick to it. So maybe I'll do it tonight. If not tomorrow, I swear I'll tweet when it's live. If you guys want to share it and stuff. But I'm definitely gonna listen to this again soon and take some clips that we can all share and post on Twitter, because it's
Notes.
yeah, no, and I think I'm gonna also tweet out some of the links that you guys all shared and some of the mechanisms that you use. There's some stuff that I learned today that I definitely want to share out. All right, Munir, shut up. Shut it.
Shut up, Moonchild.
Shut it. Oh, God. All right, guys. Let's go.